for all of you joining us today. My name is Kenyatta Stiles. I am a manager on the pre-sales solutions engineering side of the team, and I've been with ShareFile here probably going on 10 years, starting with Citrix a bit before that, but supporting customers, helping customers innovate, and working with our teams to make sure that we are delivering the right solutions at the right time is what we're all about here. And so I'm joined with Quentin. And Quentin, go ahead and give yourself a bit of an intro.
Hey everybody, Quentin Bushing here. I'm a senior solutions engineer, and I work in our business services vertical. So I interface with accountants like yourself on the regular, and happy to share today some of the things we're seeing within the industry, and also some of the ways that we can help.
Awesome. We'll go to the next slide. And first thing, I just want to start off again by saying thank you. We know that your time is valuable. We know that you all have options when it comes to the solutions that you are trying to look at and evaluate. And so we want to just, again, say thanks for spending this time with us and thinking about, as tax season approaches, just your capacity for intake and the service of your clients is one of the most important things that you can address. And this definitely shows that you guys are here to make your business better, service your clients better, and improve your overall service delivery. One thing here we could just kind of think about, or imagine, if you will, the during an 8-hour day, how you can handle more clients just by improving some simple workflows and kind of streamlining some of your office tasks and objectives throughout the day. And so these things don't have to necessarily be a fantasy, something that you're just, kind of thinking about off in the distance. You can make some very specific changes to your daily operation and things that can have a huge impact on the efficiency of your company and the bottom line overall as get ready for gear up for tax season, or if you're already serving clients on a regular basis. Whatever your case is, we want to be here to help. So again, thanks again, and we're going to move into some next things that we're going to cover.
I also wanted to say thank you.
Oh, of course, absolutely. Yeah. So let's talk about a few things. One is definitely how we can kind of try and minimize some of the admin work that you are faced with on a day in and day out basis. Handling more engagements, of course, we hope that that will translate into more revenue and better customer service. And then also the client's experience today. We want to kind of draw a contrast to what is where things might be for you today, and then going into a better experience tomorrow. Because again, customers expect more. We have some really important data points to share with you about what customers expect, and also some of the things that are driving efficiency for us here. So this webinar, we're going to basically share some actionable insights that you can take away, and how you can implement some of these things before and during your busiest time of the year to make these things work better for you all as accountants. So again, we just going to go kind of jump right into it, move on to the next slide, and then we'll kind of just get a chance to look at some really important things. But first, I wanted to talk to you just a little bit about ShareFile as a whole, right? The history of ShareFile. It was started just about 19 years ago by Jesse Lipson, and he worked with a CPA, a friend of his. They started to kind of discuss some problems that they were having, that CPA was having, and then they worked to build a solution to try and solve some of those issues. And so one of the main things that came from that was about being able to work with customers, handle their needed uh, their need for a secure web-based tool that was able to share client files. And so he began to build it. They began to tinker. One thing led to another, and ShareFile was born out of that. Another thing is that over that 19, almost 20-year history, we have around 7 million active users that utilize this product, that rely on ShareFile daily, to just kind of get to process through their day-to-day operations, and with document management, client collaboration, and just a lot of things that kind of seems that turn to be seamless at the end of the day. And then a last thing is that one of our internal surveys, a survey that we conducted last year in 2023, and about uh, accounting professionals on the automation in their industry. And 95% of those accountants that were surveyed, they felt like they needed to leverage technology that would effectively and seamlessly process and create workflow efficiencies for their business. And those things are some of the things we want to really lean into today. So the next thing we're going to move to, Quentin, is the idea or the reason that we're here. One of the things to minimize admin work, right? And so we will try and look at how you can set up your engagements before tax season in order to get your clients onboarded, get information that you need to collect, kind of do all of the behind the curtains work that your customer base doesn't necessarily need to see or be impacted by, but they make your life a lot easier as well as the end user, your customer. So next slide here. We want to look at one more thing before we go into the the demonstration side of it, is that administrative tasks cost small businesses 120 work days a year, and which equates to around 5% of their manpower. Now, the stat itself is kind of jarring, but if you really look at it and put it into, let's say, real dollars, right? Let's say you're paying associates or temp staff anywhere from $15 to $20 an hour. You could probably, if you put a 8-hour workday times 120 over time, that equals roughly 15 to almost $20,000 of real revenue, real tangible dollars that are kind of being lost in this process, through all of these processes in small business. So I'm going to turn it over to Quentin, and he's going to talk about some of the automation, client onboarding, and things that ShareFile can help with. And also, hopefully this demonstration sparks some thought in you that you can kind of really point to some processes and things that you might really want to change to move your business forward. So Quentin, let's go ahead to the next.
Yep. So the important thing in this webinar, right, is to reclaim some of the admin inefficiencies. We know that as soon as January 15th rolls around, you guys are all going to be slammed and not really have, even time to look up. But we also know that leading into January 5th, this is kind of your down season. So the time is now to start working, right? With ShareFile, you can import all of your clients in bulk just with one spreadsheet. So it's really easy to get everybody who you're going to be working with in your busy season kind of staged within your ShareFile account. And you can also start setting up some of your tax engagements behind the scenes. Just like Kenyatta said, we're kind of behind the curtain right now. And it's not until we choose to publish any of this out that our clients are aware that we're doing, this legwork before the busy season. I do want to segue into a brief demonstration to show you ShareFile's new tax solution and how easy it is to start doing some of this admin prep work ahead of season. Let's transition over to a pre-recorded video. Bear with me 1 second. So the first thing I want you to see is where to get the tax solution. You may have seen me navigate over to the catalog, and the catalog is where you can find the solutions that we've come up with for a couple different industries. The other things you can find within the catalog are integrations with different systems of record, as well as templates that ShareFile and our partner ecosystem has developed. Um, Staying on task here, though, I do want to show you this is where you come to install the actual tax solution. I already have it installed. That's why the button says uninstall, but this is where you would go to add it. Um, Once we have the tax added to your account or installed, then you'll see it on the left side navigation within your ShareFile account. And getting started on an engagement is as easy as clicking one button. As I click the create engagement, you may notice that I have a couple different templates to choose from. This is new. We can support not only an individual tax return like a 1040, but also these other templates as well. So whether it be an S Corp, tax exempt, or even an LLC. These are some of the templates that we provide for you right out of the gate, but we also provide the ability for you to customize and create your own templates, or for other folks within your business to share templates with you. I'm going to went ahead and chose a 1040 for an employed individual, chose my client and the tax year that I'll be preparing, and I can click create engagement. What's going to occur behind the scenes right now is we're going to automatically create any of the document request list or information request list, or rather information requests that are part of a 1040 flow. If you'll give it just another moment, we should see it output all of the um, created pieces. And you'll see here that we automatically created 4 different, I'm saying, envelopes of document requests. And then the purple item down there is an information request that I'm able to assign out. If I click into the questionnaire, you'll see it's very, very easy. But assuming that all of this looks good to me, instead of sharing an individual item, I can come up and click Send Agreement Workflow. And this is automatically going to go out to all of, or rather to my client. And it's going to have them, we'll see this a little bit further on in the actual client UI experience, but you'll see that it's very, very easy for them as well. The big takeaway from that video, right, is we want you to go ahead and start sequencing or building out those engagements for everybody who you're going to be doing tax work. Like I said before, your client is completely unaware until you publish this out or send an agreement for them to sign. So you could have all of your work there waiting for you to hit that one button whenever your client is ready. So as we move
Awesome.
on
Oh,
to the
go
next
ahead.
bit, we're going to talk about simplifying some of the client touch points, and I'll pass it back to you, Kenyatta.
Awesome. Yes. Yeah. So that was awesome. And you guys can see, like, the kind of pre-work that you could do to get your clients in, loaded into ShareFile and start to build out those processes are things that are more, I would say, rinse and repeat, that you can really get set and use them for multiple hundreds, thousands of clients throughout the course of your season coming up. So very, very important things to consider there. So yeah, the simplifying client touch points is the next thing, and we'll move on to the next page, please. And when we look at simplifying that in that touch point, one thing is that focusing on creating a better client experience can see an 80% increase in revenue. And that is now keep in mind the study was from 2019, but again, over time, there is those some of those values don't change, and this is information that is the way we approach these things is really really an important really important to kind of stay tuned into. So what we want to really think about here is how this impacts the lead time on the beginning of a service when you first engage with your client, and how they come on board, whatever types of agreements need to be signed, what kinds of documents as you need to construct for like a a batch of documents that you need to request, and all of those important things that we tend to lean on here. So one of the really kind of large things that stood out to me in doing some additional research here, and shout out to our wonderful marketing team who helped behind the scene just gather a lot of this data and some of the information that we need. But one of the things that was really really, I'd say, jarring is that as far as the time to from request to turnaround that it takes when a firm is starting to engage with a customer. So one good thing is that 49% of clients can return the requested information within 1 to 2 days. That's almost half, right? That's a really good number. And those are pretty much your most efficient clients, right? These are the people
What
who
about the other
already,
half?
well, that's a whole different story, right? So at first have kind of people who really have all of their documents in one folder. They've already kind of collected things throughout the year. They keep receipts and things like that. Very a very good customer base. But then goes to the next half. You have 36% that take about 3 to 7 days. Then it really drops off. The remaining 16% of customers will take up to 2 weeks to get you the information that you need in order to start the process and begin to work for them. So that inefficiency is with client interaction can be really 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 hard on you. And I would say that 16 to 20% of customers that take that extended amount of time, those are the customers that are really taking up a large part of your time in managing them, and they take up a bulk of the time during the season. The others you can get in and get out really quick, right? And so another thing is that I'd say about 71% have reported that improvements in their technology has helped improve their customer response time by reducing the time spent on each return. And that itself does add to better value, more profitability for the company, and things like that. And so those are just a couple of key things that I wanted to share with you. And then we'll move on to the next slide. And I just have a few more data points to go over before we get into the next area of the next area for demo. And so this one here, overall, the real return on investment for client experience. And when you invest in this, and this is why a lot of companies are going to a better client experience, is that one, just the overall volume of what's at stake, right? With accounting, the accounting market expected to grow by over $735 million by 2025, right? Client
Say
experience.
it again.
Yeah, right. 735 million. That's huge. And I'm sure each of you want to get your share of that, that pot of money, right? So yeah, when you think about client experiences, and why it's being prioritized as a way to stand out in this increasingly competitive space. Another one, 87% of firms say that they want more flexibility and better levels of service without increasing their rates. I mean, that yeah, I would like that. I, of course, as a consumer, I want to have better service and, without having another thing that is increasing in price for me. And then 82% of clients say that they expect higher levels of service and resources than they did even 5 years ago. That's a huge one. And then there's one on the bottom here, 1% of firms might lose clients by just attrition, right? Older clients who pass away. Um, One thing we in the software world think about is what's called churn. The way that you can have a customer for a 1, 2, or 3 year time, and then that customer goes somewhere else. So the natural, this stat is talking about the natural of people passing on and need to replenish them with a younger, more tech focused customer. But also, there are several other reasons why customers will go away. And, it's a revolving door. You have to bring in just as many clients to as ones leaving so that you never tend to grow. And so we definitely want to avoid that part. And then the last thing here, larger national accounting firms are um, growing their market share into smaller client bases. So those big name companies aren't just sticking to corporate and large business accounting. They are starting to open up divisions in the smaller space and even open up smaller offices to reach people in the areas that most of you probably play in. So those are some real things that you have to consider as far as headwinds and things that, could impact the business. All right. So let's move on to the next thing here. And Quentin, you can go ahead and talk about the client experience today and how this works with our customer base.
Yep. So just like Kenyatta mentioned at the top of it, we're going to kind of be contrasting what the client experience looks like today versus what it could look like in the future with ShareFile. What it looks like right now is really too many tools. Customers and employees are both frustrated by switching between tools and apps. And that could be as simple as, your tax software, hopping over to an email to remind somebody, checking a text message on your phone from your client. Anything that requires you switching context, we're really classifying it as too many tools. We see that employees of a small business use up to 8 apps on average, and usually each of those apps is, providing a small function that all add up to this overall tax preparation. The idea with ShareFile is to kind of replace a lot of those front office apps and make it where all the way from starting an engagement to collecting payment for an engagement, you can do it all within ShareFile. Client work, your clients are paying for your services, not to do extra work themselves. So making it a really, really easy client experience is kind of table stakes these days, right? And last but not least, inefficiencies. In a recent study, 57% of accountants said that they're able to do their jobs effectively, but not efficiently. Um, Even brief mental blocks created by shifting between tasks can cost as many as 40% of someone's productive time. And that's exactly what I was talking about. Having to switch from your tax preparation software to whatever you're doing for document collection to, now you have to go send out reminder emails. Each time you switch between one of those, you may think about getting up and grabbing a cup of coffee or, any of those things that could get in the way, right?
All right.
At the end of the year, each of those 5 minutes you lose really adds up. So we'll hop over to the demo now. And I showed you creating the engagement for Carlos earlier. And I kind of mentioned how easy it is to get going. So let's say that we're now in your tax season. You've done all of your prep work ahead of time. All you need to do now is come and click this send agreement workflow. It's going to show you first an example of the workflow we're about to trigger, right? So I want you to understand there's automation happening here. But we're going to go ahead and select the template that I want to send out for signature. In this case, It's an engagement agreement. I could choose from any of the templates that exist on my account though. And I'm going to go ahead and click send agreement. We are going to switch over to the perspective of my client, and you'll see they got an email for them to come in, review and sign this document. We make it super easy and guide them with the red carrot for exactly where they need to go, as well as give them, the mini tutorial on how to use our e-signature solution. We make it easy for them again. They can either draw their message like you saw me do, or we gave them the option to type. So if you've got any of the blue hairs you're working with that struggle with touch, no problem, right? Uh, I want you to see that after I signed that document, it automatically did the sequencing and has assigned the rest of these document requests as well as an information request out to me as the client. I signed in, and this is the user interface that I'm presented with. This looks completely different from my view as a tax preparer, right? We've taken away a lot of the clutter of ShareFile, the left side nav and all of that, and put exactly what's being asked of your client straight in front of you. Um, it's really, really easy for your client to filter between any projects, whether that be last year's return or this, if they need to refer back to anything. But they can come down, click on the task that's being assigned to them. In this case, we'll look at a questionnaire. So we can give them the ability to provide their answers here. We'll also look at a document request. For a document request, we give them the ability to upload their attachments. But beyond that, they can also leave a comment or look at the contacts tab to know the tax preparer that they've been working with. I'm going to go ahead and add a file here. And once this is uploaded, I'm able to click to submit. Once we have submitted that for review, we'll hop back over to the view of the tax preparer and we'll refresh. And you'll see here the dependent information, 1 of 4 has been completed. I can see that child care records is in review. And if I click on that item, I can see the upload that was provided for me, and I'm able to either approve or send that back. In this case, I had asked for child care records and they gave income statements. So it looks like they might have given me the wrong file. I'm able to quickly give them the reason why this wasn't approved, all within ShareFile. So whether it was me as the tax preparer, being able to communicate back and forth, do everything all in one suite, or the perspective of the client, both of us were able to know what was expected of us, communicate back and forth if we had any questions, and also we were given the contacts information if we needed to reach out outside of ShareFile. So the next thing we're going to focus on is how to handle more engagements. We want you to make more money.
Yes, of course. That is the ultimate goal, right, of any business owner and of any person who is, kind of tied to this space. Ultimately, generating more revenue is pretty important. So let's go on to the next slide, please. So um, another thing that we found pretty interesting is that 36% of accounting firms list acquiring and retaining new clients as one of the biggest challenges. And we already spoke about some of the ways that clients can leak out of the door, either natural attrition of customers, or they may find another firm to work with. Some people may relocate, then you have, new customers coming in. So whatever the case, we know that that is a challenge. And so we want to make sure that we we think about that. One of the other things that is pretty big in this, not only talking about new clients, but also recruiting and retaining talent, the people who are actually working in your firms, excuse me, and doing the job. So a lot of firms still are having impacts and are finding it hard to get talent into the industry. And so we did a survey at the recent AICPA conference, and 45% of firms cite that staff recruiting and retention is one of their top challenges. And so one reason that people said that that people are leaving the industry or finding it hard to join is that, again, the work itself of all of that context switching and managing multiple apps in a process, the draw of waiting for customers to respond makes the job a bit challenging. So this does result in more and more pressure to ensure that efficiency is top notch when it comes to your organization, and that staff can feel as though they are productive, as productive as possible when they're handling the workload, um, to continue to grow the business overall. So whether it's your business as an individual, or you are a leader in that firm, or if you are doing the work yourselves, all of this is very, very important. So we'll
Yeah,
go on to the, go ahead,
I actually
Quentin.
wanted to add here.
Yeah.
This is kind of a two-pronged problem, right?
Hmm.
It's both firms are struggling to retain the talent they have, right? If
Yeah.
their processes aren't as modern as they could be, because those CPAs are, looking where the grass is greener. But the other part is that there's just less CPAs coming into, the accounting field in general. But the demand is as high or higher than it's ever been. So really, the work per CPA is ever increasing. So that's why it's important now to really make sure that you're doubling down on efficiency and reclaiming some of that lost time and or revenue. So
Definitely. Yeah. So this last we're almost at the end, guys. So we're moving, we're making good time, and we have one more demo for you. But just to kind of set that up, we're talking about manual processes, things that you might be doing today versus things when you get into a platform like ShareFile, or actually ShareFile, that you get to, and talking about how we have some automated customer focused processes. So if you just take a quick look at the things here, we know gathering information and going back and forth in email, sending initial agreements via email, signing engagement letters. They might have to be scanned and emailed as a PDF, and all of these things. It's a lot, and there's a whole bunch of processes that we like to kind of bundle together and give you in kind of a streamlined package when we talk about that client experience. And the good thing is, a lot of the capabilities in ShareFile are not just solely for tax preparation, but there are a lot of other accounting things that can, or jobs that can be managed within ShareFile, and Quentin's going to go over some of those. And so the last thing is on this slide here, some of those automated things when you're talking about discovery and consideration for, when you're talking about reviewing and servicing, and getting your cost, having detailed information available to the customer up front, onboarding those first engagements, and making sure you have everything confirmed, and then talking about those when you start the tax preparation, when getting all the way through to the final review updates, electronic signature to make sure that things are done, and then that big moment when the return is filed, you can submit your bill, and you can make sure that the customer is happy, and you're able to move on to the next. So a lot of these things are really, really important. And then just one more thing that we did survey at IACPA recently, that 71% of firms are increasing their investment in technology to bridge the gap that's caused by the talent shortage that we just spoke about, and also to streamline a lot of these processes. So, Quentin will go ahead over and do our last demo, and then we can circle back to wrap
I
up
got
a
one
few
more
more
thing to talk
points.
about before
What's
the
that?
last demo, and
Oh,
that's talking about building a better experience,
ah,
right?
there we go.
Um,
Yes.
a the client's perception of your firm is really stems from each time that they interact with you, right? If you're able to make that interaction as seamless for the client, then they're more likely to come back to you for that next tax year, right? Determining your technology needs. What points in the client and employee experience need new tools, right? We've kind of shown the inefficiencies today, how there's so much context switching with tax preparation. So that's where technology can fill the gap. Finding tools that work, right? When looking for new tools, find ones that work with your current workflows to ensure efficiencies in day to day and high adoption to employees. So I think most of you guys are already in ShareFile to some extent, right? This is just an extension of how to work better with the solution most of your staff is already used to, and eliminate what doesn't work. On average, company departments are using 87% SaaS products. Task switching between these tools causes frustration. So, really, the more that you're able to reduce the number of tools you're touching, that not only makes your employees happy, but also can help to improve their efficiency, cutting down those, coffee runs and everything. I do want to go into a third demo here, and this is going to be our last one for the webinar. Um, Let me get that going for you.
Awesome.
So with this demo, I wanted you to really understand that I showed you how to walk through this before, but not every engagement is going to be the same. We understand that not everything is going to fit into a cookie cutter mold. So for that, we allow you to duplicate and edit any of the templates that are there. You'll see me now duplicating my 1040 employed template. And once I have it duplicated, we land directly into the editor, which will come up for me in just a second. That editor is going to allow me to make any changes that I want to that template, so that the next time I go to use it, it's exactly tailored to the need and maybe even the specific client. So in this case, I'm just going to go in and remove some of the things that were being asked in the dependent information section. And once I've made the changes, then I'm able to save that. And whenever you are creating these templates, um, they are really treated for you. If you want other people to be able to have access to the template that you've created, you can come up here and click the share button and then make it available to any of your other accountants or tax preparers. So it's a great way to not only make it easy for yourself, but any of the folks who you work with as well. I'm just putting a message in here so that anybody else who goes to use this template will know the modifications I've made to it. Tax is not the only thing that we expect accountants to do, though. This webinar was specifically geared for tax, but we also understand that um, a lot of these inefficiencies to be regained can be leveraged in other parts of accounting functions too. For that function, I wanted to show you projects. The difference between projects and the solution that I was able to install for tax is with projects, we don't have the automation piece, but we do have a lot more area for customization for the templates. In this case, I'm going to create a project based off of a business audit template. And just like when I created a tax engagement before, what's occurring behind the scenes right now is we're making all of the document request lists and information requests. Um, Part of a project means that you can also assign tasks there as well for either internal or external parties. It's gone ahead and created the project. And the first thing I usually do once the project is created is go in and manage my users. And this is how I can invite either my um, my coworkers, or my clients into the space. Once I have the space kind of set up, the things I'm able to do within it, like I mentioned before, are um, assign tasks out. Each task can have its own assignee and due date, and we can track the progress of that task through any of the four modals that are shown there. Document requests are going to function the same as they did within tax. So you're able to come in there and stage this out, assign any of the pieces that are relevant, and information requests is going to work the same as the forms did within the tax solution. So you're able to build out any of those fillable forms. One thing I do want to mention is that you're able to build conditional formatting into those information requests. So, if you're asking question one, do you have a spouse? And they put yes, you can pop out a sub question. What is your spouse's name? The other two tabs that are shown to us here are visible to me as an owner of the space, and those are files and comments. If I click into a complete business audit, you'll see that the tasks are all done. The document and information requests are all complete as well. But as we click into the files tab, this is going to aggregate everything that was collected as part of those document requests. There is a hyperlink there back to the specific item that the file relates to. And if you click the hyperlink, it takes you to that item. Same kind of thing for the functionality with comments. We aggregate everything and put it in one stream here, but we also give you a link to go to the specific item that it corresponds with. One thing that is unique to projects is the ability to create a data table. Think of a data table as kind of like a spreadsheet or just any way to structure data as it corresponds with the project. In old school terms, this is sticky notes you would put on the outside of a folder before you filed it away in the filing cabinet. An example of how we structured the data around a business audit, we used it to track billable hours. So as we're looking down the first column at each row, those are different events that had corresponding billable hours to them, as well as the team member who performed the action. So the big takeaway here, right, is that we're not only helping to simplify that client experience for tax functions, but for any of the things that an accountant may do, if they revolve around collecting information, documents, or tracking the tasks. So,
All account owners, whether it is a small, 3 license account owner, or you have a large, 50, 100 plus, there is a customer success engineer, a dedicated person that will meet with you, help with onboarding, help with training. They do a lot of the things that Quentin walked through at a real high level, kind of quick pace today. They will spend time and walk through those things and explain things as they go. So really, really great resource to leverage customer success engineers within ShareFile. And most of them will likely reach out to you right after you have purchased. And if you are an existing customer, please check your email. You can, and you will most likely have gotten an email from them, or when you log in, you might see a Pendo, a pop-up message introducing you to that customer success engineer, and you can click to schedule an appointment with them right through the web app. So cool stuff there, and you're not alone after you have you have an account with ShareFile. So we'll go back to QA in just a second, but while we're here, while we're pulling up some questions, if you want to try ShareFile out, you can definitely scan the QR code and go and create a 30-day free trial and get started tinkering around, learning from there. And usually we might have one of the solutions engineers reaching out to some customers, offering assistance if they get stuck along the way. But another great resource is our YouTube channel. that if you go to YouTube, just search for ShareFile and you can subscribe to our channel. But we have a full playlist um, of webinars, of how-to videos, and things like that to assist. So lots of resources to help out with. Quentin, do you see any questions there that you would like to tackle?
There's a couple here. Looks like Rita asked, do you need to have a separate folder for each client to do this? And the answer is no. Um, when you create a new tax engagement, the behavior is actually it's going to create a folder automatically. Within that folder, well, let me back up. The folder is going to be named by the first and last name, as well as the type of template that was chosen. So for example, I did a 1040 with my client, so it'd be like test client 1040 would be the name of the folder. And that's going to appear in your shared folders location. So we're automatically going to create a folder. I didn't show it in the demonstrations, but once you've collected all of the files as well, there's also a button within the tax solution to push all of those files back to the folder that was automatically created. So you don't need to have a folder for a tax engagement, but we know that a lot of our customers do like to leverage both. So that's the reason we automatically created those folders for you. So
Cool. Um,
some of the other ones that were asked, is there a way to create engagements in bulk and not one client at a time? In the current version, it does require that you create them one at a time. Bulk actions is something that we hear from almost all the accountants that they're requesting, and that is something that we do hope to add to the product. Um, Obviously, we're up against a little bit of a timeline to have all of the changes in place by January, but bulk actions is absolutely something that you can anticipate coming down the line soon. So,
awesome. Cool. Um,
one of the questions, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, I was going to go to that, like one of the ones at the top, Doreen. How can I import information for returning clients? I don't want to re-enter basic information I already have. A lot of well, you can import first name, last name, and email address when you're creating them. But then on an individual customer basis, you would probably have to upload um, that information into a file or folder for them specifically. So I don't think we
I
have a
have a
way
more
to.
elegant answer than that.
Ah, sweet. Go ahead. Yeah,
So,
I love that.
what I'm gonna say is for the first time that you create a tax engagement for a user, it might be a little bit manual. Um, but the ability to edit and duplicate the templates means that if you made any modifications, right, any customization for this client, no problem. You can turn around and do the same customizations next year. Just save it as a template. So the short answer is right now it does require a little bit of manual effort up front, but in the coming tax years it should be very easy.
Nice. Cool. All right.
And sorry I
Yeah.
missed you there, Doreen. I somehow scrolled past that one. It was not
All
intentional.
right. All right. Do you want to go ahead and take another one?
Yep. So it looks like we have an advanced subscription. Can we use the templates? The solutions that we showed you today, including the tax, are at our highest tier, what we call our industry advantage. So the tax templates will require you to be at that level of subscription. The final demo we did showing you some of the project spaces, um, that can be included at the premium tier. So, or at least a preview of it at the premium tier. So if you're at premium, you can start trying some of these features and kind of whet your appetite. And if you do find that it's something you want to move forward with, like I said, the industry advantage is the tier that we showed today.
Awesome.
We use Lacert. Lacert has a data and tax information service called Link, which helps to gather information from clients. Does ShareFile have similar or better product? So that's kind of what we showed today, right? Is the information requests that allows you to build out those questionnaires and assign those out to your user. So that's a way to get information that's not necessarily structured in the format of a document from your clients. And that was also whenever I mentioned we can support conditional formatting. So that's the same solution. Somebody said,
Right.
"Do you get template?" Um, and to that, I say, if you're on an industry advantage, sure, absolutely. You'll get all of the templates that I showed you from ShareFile as well as our third-party ecosystem, but you also get the ability to create and customize all of your own templates. So, is there a way to build the document request list based on information from their tax return in our tax software? I don't want to have to customize each list for each client. Right now, the document request lists are solely within ShareFile. You may have noticed whenever I was creating the engagement that I had a field for tax year. Um, we didn't actually use that information anywhere, but the reason why we're starting to collect that is for data classification. So the short answer is we don't have it right now. The long answer is we may have that capability in the future. So we have already started to do some of the debt or the tech debt to make that possible.
Yeah.
Some of my clients don't care about the security of their tax information. I'm sorry to hear that. And
Yeah.
attach their documents to an email. Please comment on how ShareFile can meet this type of individual client. Um, if your person absolutely prefers to work out of email, um, you are absolutely correct in identifying that that's not secure, at least not with regular email. ShareFile does have plugins for Outlook as well as Gmail, or you can use just the regular web app to generate emails as well. Um, the with ShareFile, you're able to do essentially a request, which gives your folks the ability to upload files back to you.
Mhm.
A generic request, right, will have the files end up either in your file box or a folder. But I'll remind you that you can do the same thing with a little bit more guide rails with the document request list. The big beauty, I don't think I mentioned it in the demonstration here, but I showed you the tax solution. All of those have an assignee and a due date. We're automatically sending reminders on that as well. So that's one way that, you know, leveraging these document requests is an improvement versus just sending a request link. So,
Gotcha. I think if you want to do one more for the sake of time, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up, and then we can circle back with any others offline.
um, I'm not seeing any that are going to be a very short answer. There's one. Is this part of ShareFile Portal or Extra? And the answer is that it is part of ShareFile at our highest tier. The add-on or the tax solution is an add-on. Part of the Industry Advantage allows you to add up to 3 add-ons. I didn't show it, but we also have one for client billing that's coming out really soon. Client billing allows you to integrate with either QuickBooks Online or Stripe, and it allows you to generate invoices and start collecting payment, again without ever having to leave the comfort of ShareFile. It's still going to be either QuickBooks or Stripe that actually is the UI presented to the customer when they go to pay. But it could be your front office worker who generated this invoice instead of having it to be the accountant. Oh, I was just saying thank you.
All right. So that's all for today. And yeah, have a great day. And we'll look forward to seeing you another time.
Bye all.
Bye.